Hello, in this video I'm going to be looking at how I integrated some UI widgets to display some combat text in my game. So this is a fairly small update, and what I've essentially got is I've got some monsters which can attack me, I can attack them, I can do some healing as well, and I just want to represent those numbers on the screen. So I've previously had a very simple placeholder for this damage, so there was no real design to it, and the intention was always to bring something in. So you can either get a designer to make some of these UI widgets for you. You can look into the UE marketplace, which is what I've done, or you can go ahead and just simply try and create it yourself, which is also perfectly good. But you know, for the price of $10, I was thinking like this will save me a good couple of hours. So this made sense to me, right? So this is what I've done. And in terms of on UE Marketplace, so there's probably other ways of looking for it, but you know, if you search for damage display, you can see a couple of options here. So for example, this one's a free asset. So I didn't get to try it because it's not compatible with the 5.4 engine, but you know, you can download this if you have the 5.2, and then you can look to migrate it to 5.4, so then you'll get yourself a free asset. And I suspect that it will be quite similar to integrate with some of these other ones, right? So like all of these other ones should have quite similar integration mechanisms. So let's perhaps start with a quick demo, and then we'll look at, you know, what it is that we've done. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into this character, and there we have a bear already attacking me. So as you can see, it's already in play. So basically these damages that you see popping up, this is the new asset. And you can see the monster is attacking me, it's doing physical damage. So I'm selecting that particular icon to represent the physical damage. I'm also able to heal myself, so I'm coloring that in green. And I've got a separate icon for that as well. And then if I attack the monster, you can see that my physical damage is also got that axe drawn against him. And if I throw a fireball, it's got some fire damage, and it draws the fire label against it as well. So I'm just going to demonstrate that again. So there's the fireball, so you can see the different icon when I am throwing the fireball. So that's for the quick demo, so let's have a look at how we integrated that together. Okay, so one of the main things that you get with this asset is this widget blueprint, right? So this widget blueprint is basically a simple widget. It will contain an image, text 1 and text 2. So each one of those is optional in this case. So I can have an icon customly defined, text 1 customly defined, and text 2 again customly defined. And it also defines a number of animations that I can use. So you can see there's a couple of animations defined over there, and an entry point essentially. So for example, when I ask it to spawn, there'll be another class, or blueprint rather, which handles the life cycle of this component and plays the animation, right? So all of this boilerplate is effectively completed for me, and I'll effectively have this function that I can just execute in order to control the life cycle of that component. And then this function, I believe, yeah, it's a macro. So you can see that it just simply takes all of this information and feeds it into the spawn actor blueprint icon text. So that's essentially what we get with the asset. So let's have a look at how and what we configure to use it. Okay, so the first thing you might notice is that this is a function on my actor base blueprint. So this actor base is used for both my monsters and my character, because both of these actors should be able to spawn this damage component. So I just need to have it in a common place. And yeah, so let's have a look at the inputs. So the first one is the spawn transform location. So this is effectively the origin of where you want this damage to display from. Then I can specify the animation. So this is probably more specific to this particular asset. There's a number of animations that I can specify here. Then we've got the skill icon. So this is the optional icon that I pointed to here. So if I have one, I'm able to specify it, and I can also give it some dimensions as well. So then we've got the first text. So you can see this text over here. I can provide some custom text here. So in my case, this is the actual damage value. And I can also override the color. So another interesting thing is that I can override the font. So I'll probably look to define that as well in the near future. But for now, I just wanted to define the text and the color. And another interesting thing is that, you've got the text too. So I can add different things here as well. So for example, my server doesn't currently support critical damage, but perhaps in the near future I will add that as well. And if I do have it, you'll see that this is now just static, right? So it'll always apply. Even if I, for example, heal myself, there it is, it's spawning, it's showing that I'm healing, but it's also applying that critical text as well. So just get rid of this. So that's the text 2, and then you've got some scaling configurations as well, and how long you want it to be on screen. So these are the configurations that I'm going to be defining for this particular asset. So let's sort of backtrace it and see how we populated them. Okay, so this is the entry point of this function, spawn damage, and the input that I particularly needed is a damage map. So yours could look quite different, but in my case, what I wanted to do is add support for different damage types. So for example, if I have physical damage, I want to have an explicit entry for physical and the number of damage points there, or if it's magical, or maybe fire damage or positive healing. I wanted it to be explicitly defined, so that's what I've done. Obviously yours could look quite different, so vary it depending on your needs, but this is how I'm able to then allocate specific icons depending on that damage type. So let's have a look at what we've got here. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is iterate over this damage map. So this is an entry set, so I take the damage type, which is the key. And this damage type will be things like physical, fire, positive, and I'm able to evaluate what icon to draw based on that. So in this case, I'm using a data table, so it's called damage type icon. So this is the data table that I'm going to use. In order to create one, you want to right click, open data table, and I think skill icon map is the structure that I used, and that is just an entry of one field, which is skill icon of texture type. So that's how I go ahead and create my data table. Now potentially I'll add more things in here later, but for now this is sufficient. And as you can see, there's only 3 entries right now. So one is physical, so you can see that I've referenced this texture for physical type damage. This is my fire, this is my positive. So now you can customize it as you like, so that you can have different damage types represented by different icons. So that's really why it was useful for me to get myself a damage map rather than just a pure value, right? So that I can add a bit of depth to this damage essentially. So that's what I do here. So get data table row. So I provided the damage type, it gives me the icon through this structure, and I'm going to be saving it, promoting it to a variable, and saving it locally over here. So I think it'll be, there it is, over there. So I've promoted it there, and next I'm going to be evaluating the damage value. So getting the damage value is quite trivial, because all I need to do is look inside my damage map and find the value using the key, which is the damage type, and that gives me a float, I believe. And I just want to floor it because I don't want to be showing decimals, so I just want it to show the round number. So I floor that to an integer, and that's how I get myself the damage value. I also just make sure that it's not 0, because if it's 0, let's not bother displaying this damage. And the next thing I want to do is just check whether it's a heal or not. So if the value is negative, that means it's going to be a heal. So I want to represent it as a green color. So this is not actually affecting my stats in this case. This is purely for displaying it back to the user. And if it's positive, that means it's damage taken. So you can see I've got these green and red colors. These are defined as static variables, so it's a linear color. and you can see I've just defined the colors to use there. So that's how I evaluate which color to use, and you can see it's being fed over here. So then in terms of the transform, as you can see, it's connected to my actor base BP. So I've got myself the mesh over there. So I'm able to extract the component bounds using this function. So I grab my mesh, I get my component bounds, and with that, I've got the origin and the box extent. And what I've effectively done is I've tried to, I think, let's see. Okay, so I added the z vector, and then I also added a random value between -50 and 50, so that it can effectively go anywhere between these ranges. So I don't want it to always appear in the same place. I want it to sort of appear within a region above the character. And I'm adding some random values to make it a little bit more interesting there with how it's displayed. So that's how I get myself the spawn transform location. Okay, and the last thing really was just converting the damage value, which is now of an integer type, into text, and that actually completes all of the variable inputs that I've defined here. So you can see it was quite trivial really to integrate this asset into the game, and it has some pretty nice visual effects. So that's why sometimes it's nice to get some of these assets, because they do save quite a bit of time of development. So now we basically have ourselves this neat little function that exists on our actor base blueprint, and we can use that to now display the damage. So I suppose as a little bonus, I'm going to show how I've integrated that with my server. So if you're using Unreal Engine default replication, which I suspect most people are or should be, this wouldn't be 100% relevant, but maybe you'll find it interesting anyway. So let's have a look at how this integration was handled. Okay, so in order to integrate all of this together, so to receive the messages from the server, as usual, I've now created a new component which will handle with this communication. So it's called this damage display component. And in the previous video, we've introduced the connected component base. So this deals with all of the boilerplate code for, handling the communication, right? So this one in particular just needs to focus on processing messages. So you can see that I just needed to define listening to update types. So I'm listening to the damage update. And as you can see here under this override process message, I just need to say that if the message for damage update is received, let's execute this function with the message damage source. So again, to reiterate, I suppose we've got the damage display component created here, so we just needed to add it to the actor base BP. So now all of a sudden it will register this event listener on this component. So let's have a look at what happens here. So this component will receive the message from the server, and it will contain the damage source. So from that, it will have the actor ID, which is being damaged. So I just need to make sure that this actor, that this component is that very same actor. At the moment, I'm ignoring the source actor ID. This is the actor which damaged this one. I'll need this in the near future when I'll be integrating this with the UE server in order to control aggro. And then the damage map is again just received from my custom server. So this will probably look differently for your server implementation. So for example, if you're using native UE replication, you'll probably create your own custom damage types and things like that here. So at the moment, my notify on server is not doing a lot. So again, this is the UE server instance, not the custom server. And what I'm going to do is just simply sum up all of the damages and send an event dispatcher to sort of notify the AI that you've been damaged, right? Maybe you want to do something about it. So what I am doing at the moment though is spawn damage for client. So again, it's just making sure that this is the client instance. I grab the owner, which is the actor component, and I know that all of my actors stem from this actor base BP, so this is a safe cast for me, and I'm going to go ahead and activate this spawn damage function, which is what we looked at earlier. And that's basically it. So perhaps what I'll do is I'll just have this open in the background while I open the game up. Maybe I'll make this slightly smaller screen. So the server is going to be starting in the background as well, which will spawn the mobs. So I'll go ahead and log into this character. So I can bring this down. So let's add the 2 skills. So if I go and heal myself, the damage will appear to be negative. So it's going to be using the green color here. In terms of the damage type, we'll be able to evaluate it here. So it was actually positive. So it's going to be using this icon. And when the bears are going to be attacking me, it's going to be of the physical damage type. So and it will be positive damage. So it's going to be in red. And the skill icon is going to be this axe. So that's what we're going to be finding here. So let's go closer. So there it is. So there's the axe icon with the red damage as well. So that's it for another quick demo. And obviously you'll be able to see that we can extend this further by adding new entries over here. So there's going to be some really interesting stuff to come. But that's it for this one. Thanks and see you next time. Bye.